So this is John with Brainstorm Comics and Gaming. This is this week's Turning the Page. I'm here with my cameraman, the unseen, unknowable, keeping the costs low.
That's me.
All right. So again, let's see. This week we have 4 topics. We're going to talk about the Spider-Man No Way Home Blu-ray. We're going to talk about Comixology and how people apparently hate it now. We're going to talk about one of Marvel's acquisitions in the Fox purchase, and then we're going to talk about old readers versus new readers, and then finish it up with Best Wednesday Ever, which is your favorite.
I'm fine with it. Just the yelling.
The yelling?
Yeah.
Is it because of the headphones?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. So let's start off with Spider-Man No Way Home. There has been an announcement that there are going to be 20 extra minutes of Mr. Maguire and Mr. Garfield added into the Blu-ray. I would assume Blu-ray sales are not that great anymore due to streaming services. So I guess is their way to try and convince people to do that. You're the movie aficionado, so I'll let you.
I mean, yeah, it's neat. I'm sure it's not going to be anything super crazy, but it's cool to have just more time with them goofing around. I'm glad it was not saying in the movie. It had good pacing, but tossing it as an extra on there, yeah. Blu-ray sales not great. They've never actually peaked over top of DVD sales.
No.
Nope. DVD still beat them. I mean, I still buy Blu-ray, and I will say, I feel like Marvel is still kind of safe with those because they still get collectors. There's a lot of boutique companies that do horror and stuff like that, but I see a lot of people still want to buy all of the MCU. So
I used to be a huge Blu-ray disc buyer. I used to go every Tuesday to Best Buy and pretty much buy all the new releases. And then Best Buy quit doing their huge discounts, and I was like, well, I'm not paying $30 for this.
Yeah, they have about one shelf. I'll still buy a lot, but it's only on sales, like Criterion sales or just pickups. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice way to incentivize it, the special features.
I was gonna say the extras are definitely one of the bright spots. I mean, it was even when you said DVD sales were still over them.
Yeah.
There was always more on the Blu-ray, or they would even give the digital codes also so people could do that. I don't know. Like you said, I think this is a good incentive. I wish it would include comics in these. I know I always mention that I think Marvel and DC miss opportunities on increasing their readership and access to their material by things like this. But I'm sure that all the Spider-Man fans will be ecstatic at being able to see that, and I'm sure that the ones that don't have Blu-ray players that don't do that anymore just will bootleg it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything else you want to add to that one?
No, I just think it's a neat little thing just to add on there. I mean, obviously they know what they're doing. It's not like they're just doing it for a nicety, but it's cool to have.
Comic fans are definitely. I need to get that extra.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Piece
and they're inclined to buy physical things.
Exactly. So we will turn the page on that one. Keep an eye out for that Blu-ray, obviously. So we'll move on to Comixology. I'm sure you know that a while ago, many years ago at this point, Amazon purchased them. And they swore that they were going to keep them as the same company. It's going to be its own thing. We're not going to interfere with the way they run things. Well, that has changed. So a customer was in here today and told me that there was a forced update, that if you wouldn't update, it would just brick your app and you couldn't even look at your comics. Not only that, but if you did go into it, if you did do the new upload, the update, it wouldn't leave where you had left off reading, or it wouldn't start where you had left off reading and things like that. From my understanding, Amazon's argument is, well, the Kindle and Comixology were not working in sync with one another. And that's the reason why we needed to do this. It's not because we're an evil corporation. It's because
of course,
it was out of necessity. 3 other complaints that I've seen. One person complained that there is no zoom feature on the new one, so you can't zoom in on panels. I don't know if that's true. I'm not a Comixology person. I read the physical versions. I've tried reading digital. I just can't do it.
I read digital. I don't buy anything digital, but I always say that Marvel Unlimited. But it would be crazy if they removed the zoom feature, even if it's bugged. That's the main thing I feel like people like with it. It's kind of guided. It will take you to a panel, or if it's like, an odd shaped panel or like a full page one, it'll take you to the pieces and then pull out and stuff.
So there is no 2-page view. So if it's a double page spread.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's some choices.
So it's possible that that thing that you were talking about is true, because like I said, they're saying that second thing is a thing also. And then the third thing is Amazon has changed the wording from "you have purchased" to "you have acquired." And apparently the reasoning for that is so that to reinforce that you have not purchased anything, you do not own it. It is a digital leasing agreement, not an outright purchase.
Yeah, of course. The moment that something they don't want on there, competes with them or anything like that, you just bought a license for a period. It's no longer there.
Yeah. So how do you feel about these changes? I know you just made it clear about one that you're like that. Yeah. That's ludicrous. And I can't believe that. I
mean, I still buy a lot of physical because I don't buy anything digitally. I'll read it in Marvel Limited because it's so much of it that I can't afford to buy everything that I want to read. But I still buy the movies and stuff too. It's because at any moment these licenses can be gone or it won't necessarily, they don't have the rights to it and stuff like that. I mean, you see it with video games all the time. There was one a couple of years ago. There was a Mickey Mouse game that they remade. And then they put it on digital and everything. And then, obviously the license with Disney expired. So they just said, we're selling it for 1 cent today. So anyone buy it because this is your last chance, basically. Or like Scott Pilgrim, the game was considered like lost media for a while. And, these things just disappear. I mean, sometimes they come back, but, obviously with comics, you do have the physical form, but just be aware when you're buying these things.
You mean DC and Marvel doesn't come to your house and rip it out of your
not yet.
Long box?
Well, Disney has the power. They just are choosing not to yet.
Because they're benevolent.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry. Continue.
They're just as nice as Amazon. just be aware you don't own these things.
They wear mouse ears.
Say that you own. Yeah, they're cuter.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not a Comixology person, but if these things are true, this seems like a big step backwards. I mean, which is a good thing for me. So yeah, keep it up, Amazon. You keep doing the. Actually, that's not true. People will just bootleg the.
Yeah.
And find a comic reader that works the way they want it to work, but they do them like I don't know. But like I said, might be good for us. Hopefully, chases people back into comic book shops as opposed to downloading the material. But we will see.
It also shows they need competition. They're pretty much the biggest. Are they the only one?
I want to say there's at least one other. I know Substack, like we've talked about before, does a newsletter thing, which is a different kind of model.
Yeah.
But, I guess they could translate it into something similar at some point in the future.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that, though. So let's turn the page. We'll see how Amazon continues to make poor decisions in the future. All right. So don't forget to LCS, like, comment, and subscribe to your local comic book shop, Brainstorm Comics and Gaming. If you're in the area, be sure to visit either our Frederick location or our Walkersville location. If you're looking for a great day trip, visit the downtown Frederick location. Lots of cool things down there. If you like breweries and that sort of thing, definitely go downtown. If you're looking for back issues, not just a day trip, definitely come to our Walkersville location. In addition to that, March 1st, we're going to have our gaming room up. When you came back here, what did you think?
It's looking nice.
Yeah.
You can't see it because there's a green screen, but yeah, over the last 2 months, it went from being completely
storage.
Just a storage, and now it's looking good.
Yeah.
Plenty of room. Everything's organized.
Yeah. I'll mess it up. All right. So we're going to open up the gaming room March 1st, like I said. We're going to have some drastic changes over the next week or two. So definitely come out and visit and see all the great changes coming up. All right. Moving on to topic number 3. It's another quick one. The Predator license was acquired in the Fox purchase by Disney, and they were going to do some Predator comics a couple years ago, 2 years ago, and then some little thing called COVID happened, and also a copyright dispute with the original filmmakers happened as well. But apparently that has been settled because later this year they're going to do the Predator comics now, finally, after all that time. What do you think? Do you think Disney's going to do it justice? Do you think that they're going to join the MCU and fight the Eternals sometime in the...
I'm gonna say on that second one,
No.
probably not. But on that first one, I mean, the Alien comic's been pretty good. It's pretty violent. I mean, I didn't read the old comics, but for the movies, I'd say it's doing its justice. So, I mean, I have hope that I can't imagine they're going to do something too different with that.
I think the Predator has a lot of different things they can do with it also, because it's not just obviously one Predator you're following. It's all these different ones. And so I mean, like you said, Philip Kennedy Johnson doing a great job on the Alien series for Marvel. If I remember correctly, I think that the original filmmakers were supposed to be doing the comic. If there was a copyright argument, I doubt that they'll still be doing it, but we'll see. It's generally hard to get over that kind of
A little bit.
animosity, but I'm looking forward to it, though. I think, it's been a while since we've seen Predator comics. Ever since the Dark Horse license is all expired, I guess. It's been, I don't know, almost a decade at this point.
Jeez.
Closing in on a decade. Yeah. You can look it up if you... We'll figure it out. But no, I'm looking forward to it. With that acquisition, Disney obviously acquired many different properties that they can do a lot with. We talked about it on the investment video, how Buffy was a part of that also. So
Can't tell when the last original one was. I think it might have even been as far back as like 2010 or 1999.
yeah, so like I said, I think it's been about a decade. So we'll turn the page on that one. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I hope they attach some big names to it and they do some cool things. So we'll turn the page on that one and we'll move on to the next one. You're not going to be prepared for this, but that's fine. One thing that me and a couple of guys in the store have been talking about is how Marvel and DC are in kind of a tenuous situation in that they are trying to appeal to their existing fan base, but also appeal to the next generation. And both of those groups seem to have drastically different desires from the characters. So it seems like the younger ones want more like of a social justice aspect to the characters, whereas it seems like the older fans are more like, I just want an action adventure that I can get out of like the real world for 15 minutes or whatever. What do you think about that? Do you think that's an accurate?
I don't know if it's entirely accurate to what consumers actually want, or so much as what the company thinks consumers want. Because I think, probably in a broad way, younger people are going to maybe want more stories that have that kind of bent to it. But at the same time, like, there's definitely, you still want the escapism and stuff like that. I mean, I think you see it coming in the movies, Iron Man and Captain America and Thor aren't necessarily giving you those bents, but people are still going out and seeing those and like, I don't think Miles
numbers. In record numbers.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't think like, Miles Morales' only appeal is because he's, a different ethnicity. I think he just has good stories.
Well, I think his biggest appeal is people loved teenage Peter Parker.
Right.
And as he aged up, he became less identifiable with like the lovable loser who tries to do the right thing and always has it backfire on him. Mm-hmm. And there was a void because of that. Clearly, Miles filled that, and he also happens to be black and Puerto Rican, and
yeah. I think just overall, I mean,
well, what I'm more talking about though is like the Champions, son of Kal-El right now with Superman. It seems like they're trying to make the younger characters within both universes appeal more to that lower demographic or to that younger demographic. And of course now you have like the older people who are like, oh, this is terrible, and I'm like, well, it's probably not targeted toward you. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Like I said, because of the change to the true justice in the American way, and that, I know you're like, you keep harping on that, John. I figured it was not going to be a storyline or a character that was targeted towards like me. But like if somebody else enjoys it, like nobody's forcing me to sit down and read it or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think that they are put in a tough situation though, because like I said, it does seem like the older readers are definitely like, oh, I don't want to read anything that's got any sort of social justice aspect to it, and you have the younger readers who are like, well, I don't want to read that staid, like older, like this is the same stuff from 20 years ago or what have you. And I think that really fragments the market and makes it hard for books to get larger traction like it used to. Um, I know Superman has always been considered like a milquetoast type character, so like I said, they're trying to add a little bit of a different bent to it, and I don't know.
No, I agree. Honestly, I think it just comes down to overall, if the story is good enough, I think you'll win over both groups.
Yeah.
I mean, look at like the X-Men reboot and everything. That brought a lot of readers to X-Men, and that has always had
brought back some longtime readers that had lapsed, and
yeah, and maybe it didn't stay, but that's always been something. X-Men have always had like social justice tendencies. So and it got people into it, but the story was also compelling and stuff. So it's hard to say.
So that's something else. So on one of the Facebook groups I'm in, that was something that somebody brought up, was like, oh, social justice aspects have been in X-Men forever. But I also feel like it was more subtle before than some of the ways that they're doing it now. And I feel like it's easier for people who have a different belief system to accept it when it's not outright saying like, well, this is right and this is wrong. And not only that, but the original X-Men also had like the evil mutants as the bad guys. So, saying like, hey, you can go too far even in this kind of argument and such. So I do feel like it was a little bit more balanced and not as...
Well, that's why I say I think it has to do with the writing, because I do think some of the stories just go so far to pandering, they lose track of telling a good story. Yeah. And I think, I think that's part of the creators, or not necessarily the creators, the companies thinking, well, this is what the people want, but then people are like, that's not entirely what we want. But
yeah, and I think that's something that Tom Taylor has to be very aware of, because I think Tom Taylor's a really good writer. And I feel like he is teetering on falling into that trap of going too far with some of the stuff that he's doing. But and again, I think there's ways to cover even the same ground that he's covering in a way that doesn't feel like it's pandering or what have you. But I also feel that when a writer gets attacked, sometimes they dig in deeper. Like, okay, well, I'm going to go full on then, and like, haha, I'll show you.
Well, a good example on like the complete opposite end of the spectrum is Frank Miller. Like when he started, Dark Knight Returns is kind of lampooning both sides. It's still like saying something, but he's doing it in, a more subtle way. And then by the end of his career, he's just
ranting, yelling at clouds.
He's just gone a little bit too crazy. But, when he started, he was a very good writer, and, he lost track and started thinking more about what he wanted to say than how he would say it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think this is a good discussion. I think we can visit this in the future also. Let us know what you think. Do you think that the companies are pandering to each group, or I think DC is trying to have it both ways with having the future state, younger people, future state is probably your thing. Older readers, you may want to stick with the older characters, but we'll see how all that goes. So we will turn the page on that one, and we will move on to our next topic. Do you know what that is?
Best Wednesday ever?
Best Wednesday ever! Best Wednesday ever. First one didn't clap that hard, so I had to try again.
Had to do it again.
Yeah. Plus, you put your earphones back on. So. All right. You got nothing this week. You said. Fine.
You said you had 3.
I do have 3. Later printings had the best Wednesday ever. We have multiple later printings of Last Ronin 1 and 2. I think they're up to 4th and 3rd printing, 5th and 4th, something like that. Hulk number 2, Timeless number 1, Thor number 20, Devil's Reign number 1 and 2, Crimson Reign number 1, and Moon Knight number 6. Later printings having the best Wednesday ever. I don't know. The Timeless one had black and white Miss Timeless cover for the 1 in 50. So that one's selling for like $200. That one's crazy. I told you I don't see how that character has any longevity, but apparently there's people speculating that it does. I did not watch the Loki show, so apparently she was likable.
Yeah, not worth $200, but
There's people speculating that if she makes an MCU appearance, like in the movies and stuff, it'll go up even further. And I'm like, really? Okay. All right. I'm not gonna lie. I don't get that one. But variant covers and cover art had the best Wednesday ever. I know Jacob was probably shocked when I sent him the list of covers for this week's Stormwatch, but we'll highlight a couple of them here also. Soko Mayaka, the Catwoman 40, 1 in 25, absolutely stunning.
The cover for the second printing?
No, I'm sure it will be. Unholy number 3, the Adam Hughes cover. Every couple knows this fight for the covers. Did you get a chuckle out of that one?
I did. When I was very confused at first, fight over the covers, and I thought it was more literal than that. And then, yeah.
Gotcha. The Deathstroke covers, both of them absolutely beautiful. I love both of them, and all 3 Elektra covers. I love all 3 of those Elektra covers. If I could get the original art, I would, but I don't have like $10,000 to. Probably more than that, but absolutely beautiful.
There's one cover that didn't have anything on it. The Virgin cover.
Yeah.
The variant of the first one. That's as close as you can get.
So variant covers and just covers in general had the best Wednesday ever. And then, I went a little bit off the beaten track. I said different takes on superheroes had the best Wednesday ever. Distorted is, I know you did the Stormwatch for that one, so you read the highlights of that one. In a world where superheroes don't exist, how do you cope with your superpowers? I thought that one sounded very interesting. Black Hammer Reborn came out. I think that's a very different take on superheroes, kind of a mix between modern and Silver Age. And Dark Age is, going back to a different era for superheroics. And apparently there's speculation that this week's issue may lead into an event or a new series this summer. So we'll see how that goes. And that's all I got. You don't have anything at all? No comments on the best Wednesday ever picks that I had there? No?
Okay.
So we'll turn the page on that one, and we'll close out by saying don't forget to LCS, like, comment, and subscribe to your local comic book shop, Brainstorm Comics and Gaming YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.